So here we are stepping into the kitchen, this time with Mr. Brad Ball from Bistro 1682. And Brad, it's all about honey this morning. How are you keeping? You're right.
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Cool, man. Cool. So we're talking about honey, but you're here to just give us a bit of a spin on honey because obviously you get different forms of it.
That's it, exactly.
Starting with its most purest form.
Well, in its most purest form, obviously, honeycomb. It's basically honey is, and it might sound a little bit gross, but honey is produced by honeybees, where they collect pollen, they regurgitate it to form honey, and they use it as food source.
It is absolutely brilliant.
It's absolutely brilliant.
I want to tell you a little story because this is actually mine. You can see this is pure honeycomb, and this is because my dad has a little small holding in Teslasdal, just outside of Caledon, and we noticed that there's bees in one of the structures, and we got a professional beekeeper to come and remove them because obviously we're living around that space. And when we opened it, it was just honeycomb galore. You can see there on the screen right now, the beekeeper is busy working there. We took out about 20 kilos of raw honeycomb, and the interesting thing is they were all different colors. There were bright honey, and then with the darker ones.
That all depends on the flowers that they're collecting from, which specific flowers the nectar is coming from. And as you can see here, we've got a citrus blossom honey over here, which is much lighter, and this is what everybody is used to seeing and used to eating, you know. And this one over here is fynbos honey. It's much darker. Flavor-wise, it's very, very floral. It's got a lot of sort of notes of almost like thyme and rosemary, you know, all those beautiful like herbaceous notes that you get from fynbos.
Yeah. All right, so that's it, and what like you say, the flavors are quite unique.
They are quite unique, absolutely.
Which is great. And then we have this honeycomb. I know honeycomb.
So honeycomb, it doesn't always necessarily have to contain honey, but basically what it is, it's caramelized sugar, honey, glucose, gets to a certain temperature. You whack in a tablespoon of bicarbonate of soda, take it off the heat, and literally just like sort of quadruples in size.
I think we've actually made it on the show once before. Yeah, it's quite a sticky process.
Absolutely, yeah, it is.
And then we have this.
Crystallized honey.
Crystallized honey. All right, so how does this actually happen?
That happens, you just basically leave honey in its form like this at room temperature, and it will eventually crystallize. There's very little water content or moisture content in honey, so if it stayed at room temperature, it just eventually crystallizes. And obviously, guys prefer this, as you said earlier on, because it's easier to spread on bread or toast or to eat. Where this is very, very runny, becomes a bit of a messy, sort of sticky situation.
Yes. I must be honest. Personally, for me, I love the raw honeycomb, just like this, just sucking and getting that wax as well. And also, I'm very proud of my mom because she processed all of that 20 kilos of honey and made her own little beeswax candle. How cool is that?
Well, that's it. Farmers use every single last bit.
That's brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so we are going to be making, just after the break, we're going to be making a lovely recipe with ribs and honey.
That's right. Sticky pork ribs with honey and 5 spice.
That is mouth-watering stuff. You don't want to miss it. We'll be back right after this.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso only on SABC3, and it's all about honey in the Expresso kitchen this morning. And Mr. Brad Ball, just before the break, told us about the different forms of honey that you can get, and now we're going to cook with it. We're making barbecue honey ribs.
We're going to make barbecue honey ribs with Chinese 5 spice.
Oh,
now for the honey, because it's so sweet, it's used in desserts, but we use it quite often in savory dishes as well. It just lends a beautiful sort of flavor to balanced dishes, and
sweet
and salty, sour, those sort of things.
Oh, lovely.
What we got some pork cocktail ribs. You can just get your butcher to cut them down for you. It's very, very simple. And we're just going to make a little marinade for it. This marinade, it's best to make it the day before and then let it sit overnight.
Especially with pork chops. So before we start that, remember you can make this yourself at home. Barbecue honey ribs. SMS the keyword ribs to 33728. We'll send you on the Pick n Pay shopping list. Definitely a recipe you want to try at home.
Right, so all we're going to do is just going to place some tomato sauce.
Great.
It's also got some sweet and sour notes, vinegar in it. We're going to do some soy sauce for that.
It also kind of softens the meat, this combination.
Absolutely, exactly. And the longer you marinate it, the better it will be. So what we normally do is we take this marinade. I've got a little bit of rice wine vinegar going in now.
Okay.
We'll take this marinade and the ribs, once they're marinated, and we'll put it into a Ziploc bag.
And there goes the honey. I said it earlier to Zola when we were cooking as well. It's definitely one of nature's miracles.
It's fantastic. Absolutely
really
beautiful. Got a little bit of finely diced red onions.
All right.
Chili, and as much chili as you like. I like it quite spicy. So,
same on the side. You can put some more chili there.
Ginger, star anise, which gives that beautiful anise flavor.
Exactly.
And a little bit of oil.
All right, and that's really that's the base.
That's the base. That's it. So get your ribs in, get them marinated overnight preferably, but a couple of hours will do.
Really, if you had the time, or if you could say, how long should you actually marinate for? Is overnight fine?
Overnight
2
is
days?
best. Overnight's best. I wouldn't go much longer than 2 days.
Nice.
Right, get those ribs in.
And Brad also told me that he has this on the menu as part of his tapas
That's right,
range,
yeah.
and it's a bestseller.
That's one of the best sellers, absolutely.
I don't even have to. You just know why. Just looking at it.
Find me a
smelling
South African who doesn't enjoy ribs. Yeah?
Sure.
Right,
That's
so
it.
obviously, you would normally put this in a Ziploc bag and get it in overnight.
Yes.
Then once this is in here, we're just going to get it into the oven, 190 for about an hour, covered with foil.
Oh, you cover it.
We cover it with foil, and then once it's done its first hour, remove it from the oven, take the foil off, and then we're going to just glaze it a second time.
Okay, then you just.
And that glaze is going to give us a really beautiful sticky.
Yes.
That sticky coat.
Oh.
There we go. Pour that all over. Fantastic. You want to pop that in the oven?
Amazing. Yes, that's going to go into the oven. At 190 for about 2 hours, you say?
For about an hour.
An hour.
Yeah. And then what's going to happen is all those juices and that marinade is going to reduce down, become really nice and sticky, and the honey's going to sort of come to the front. And that's what's going to make those beautiful sticky ribs that South Africans love. And it's kind of a messy process to eat ribs, but it's beautiful. It's fantastic.
It is beautiful, fantastic.
Yeah.
You can make it if you have just tuned in. We're making delicious barbecue and honey ribs. You can make it at home by SMSing the keyword ribs to 33728. We'll send you on the Pick n Pay shopping list. Now that's 5 spice that you were talking about.
Yes. Right, so 5 spice, it varies, but basically it's 5 spices.
Does this go on afterwards?
This goes, so after your first hour at 190, you're going to take it out, you're going to remove the foil, then you're going to glaze it again with some honey and some 5 spice, give it another toss in the oven for another half an hour without any foil, with no cover, and that's going to get you that caramelization. The honey's going to start to caramelize at those hot temperatures, become beautiful and brown and sticky.
Best type of food to watch a rugby match or something
Exactly.
like that.
It seems that we keep on producing these kinds of meals that are good for either watching the soccer or rugby matches.
That's who we are.
Yeah?
That's
who
we are.
Exactly. We like our sport and we like our food here.
That's it.
Right, so we're just going to plate up. These have obviously been, they've been glazed and they've been in the oven for nice and long. And you want your ribs. The times on the recipe are merely a guideline.
Yes.
Sometimes you might have to do them a little bit longer than the hour and a half. But just check it. If you can sort of wiggle that little bone and get that bone to come out, you know that it's going to be nice and tender.
You can see it is nice and tender already.
There we go. The honey just brings a beautiful balance to this dish. Without the honey, it's just going to be very salty and very sort of tart from the vinegar. So you want that honey in there. It's quite important. And as you're going along, if you're tasting and it needs a bit more honey, add a bit more honey.
All right, cool. So while we're finishing up this recipe, if you have missed any of the steps in preparing our barbecue honey ribs this morning, here's a quick recap. We'll be back after this.
Mix together the ribs, rice vinegar, soy, hoisin, chilies, ginger, honey, star anise, sesame oil, and onion. Place in the fridge to marinate for a few hours. Place ribs into a tray, toss and cover with foil, and roast at 190 degrees for an hour. Uncover, season with 5 spice, drizzle with honey, then roast for another 30 minutes.
And there we go, putting the finishing touches on it. Looking good. So you've got some spring onion on there. You've got some what is it, chili?
Spring onion, just a little bit of chili. If you like it hot, add more chili. If you don't like it too hot, leave the chili out. But I like a bit of spice, goes well with a nice cold beer.
And easy at barbecue honey ribs this morning with Chef Brad the Ball. You can make it yourself. SMS the keyword ribs to 33728. I have to dig into this. I'm sorry, I'm going to take the nicest one. When I was at school, a buddy of mine's older brother told me never go on a first date when you eat ribs because it just gets messy, all right? So there's no other way to eat ribs than getting messy.
Exactly. That's it. That's the way. You got to get stuck in.
You see what I mean? That is incredible. Oh, nice
Great, good.
spice.
I'm glad you enjoy that.
All right, guys, let's go have some fun and games with David Cow as I finish my ribs.
By supporting businessmen like Sibusiso Chabalala and his Berry Hill Trading Company, that's where we found goodness. Pick n Pay, always there for you.